Well, it's day 3 of recording my 4th reaction video, and yeah, I'm in another top this time. God, you swear this is a Kevin Logan video. Yeah, hello, welcome to the Scent of Man, O Sphere. Nostalgia Critic, go fuck yourself. Yeah. But I've still got the little pups with me. Yeah, they're enjoying it here in Adelaide. And yeah, Nellie's just really tired because she went to an Iggy meetup in the city park. Thankfully, it's probably easier to navigate than Central Park, New York. And but anyway, let's get back on with the reaction video. So talking about tickle deodorant for women and how it apparently makes them giggle at random. Nobody's safe but we care for none. You know, whatever, moving on.
Of happy. Staying drier is nicer with a little tickle.
Well, now you're really sending mixed messages because I got wetter is better.
Tickle helps keep you dry all day.
Is it me, or does the announcer sound like the narrator of that educational Disney short about menstruation?
I don't know. Maybe I need a woman's perspective on this. Hey, Tamara.
Yeah,
You wear deodorant, right?
I hoped that would be obvious.
And you don't find yourself randomly laughing out of nowhere, do you? So, you use tickle deodorant?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, she's just crazy. Oh, I love Tamara. She's so, yeah, as Jamae would say, she's so random. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm not going to do the Jamae voice for the rest of the video.
I'm sure the product's good, but this commercial's laughable, to say the least.
Make yourself happy. Staying drier is nicer with a little tickle.
The official deodorant of Totally Spies. No, really. There's nothing else going on.
Yes, I remember watching Totally Spies as a kid, and yeah, everyone says that a lot of their fetishes started with that show, but personally I never really got that. I just thought the girls were pretty and kick-ass and stuff. And of course the redhead girl was named Sam, which is really funny to me because my name's Sam and I'm into redhead women. But, let's just move on.
Head on. Apply directly to the forehead. Head on. Apply directly to the forehead. Head on. Apply directly to the forehead. Head on. Apply directly to the forehead.
Oh, my mum would hate this one. She hates, like, repetitive noises and stuff. Like, I remember when I used to use Storybook Weaver as a kid, it had this text-to-speech option. Yeah, it was this program where you could write stories, but basically I used to, like, just write the shift and, like, do, like, the hashtag symbol back when it was just called the number symbol. And I'd just press it repeatedly and then do text-to-speech and it would go, number, 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 number. And I don't know, I liked listening to that, but my mum hated it. And my sister also hated it as well. They just wanted, but the worst part was that there was no option to turn off the text-to-speech. You had to listen to it all the way, so God, it was hell for them. And even worse is that the voice on that program was like this weird alien robot voice, like, my friend my friend came over and I told him how to use Storybook Weaver. It just sounded like that, but all weird and gargly and stuff. Like, here, I'll show you in this video right here.
Welp. Meow-ha, said the giant evil space spider. 2 more tasty earthlings have fallen into my snowy void room, and I still haven't finished eating this barefooted old lady. Nom nom, the end.
Yes, Storybook Weaver Deluxe features a text-to-speech algorithm that is absolutely the worst.
Yeah, like, I guess because this was back in the 90s and there weren't a lot of text-to-speech programs back in the day, and I guess the programmers had to make one themselves and it sounded all crap. Ugh. Yeah, just combine that with just saying the same thing over and over, and that would have been hell on my folks' ears at the time.
Head on.
Apply directly to the forehead?
Available at Walgreens.
Oh, you switched it up. Way to keep us on our toes.
Head on. Apply directly.
Oh my God, it's not over? Did you feel we needed an intermission among all that repeating? Because you're right, please stop.
Apply directly to the forehead. Head on.
Available at Walgreens.
Okay. We good?
Oh, damn. And also, there's this song from Roddy Gore that goes like, so it really doesn't matter, so it really doesn't matter, so it really doesn't matter. And yeah, my sister hates that song for presumably the same reason, even though that's just the chorus, really. And the verses are just really fast, pattery singing, similar to the Major General song from Pirates of Penzance. Incidentally, the Matter Patter song is sung in the film version of Pirates of Penzance, even though it's from Roddy Gore. And yeah, she fucking hates that song, the same way Doug hates Hakuna Matata. It's just, oh damn, it must be hell on her ears.
New from the makers of
How is this still going? I feel like the Manchurian Candidate. Like these are the secret words to activate me to kill someone.
Activon. Apply directly where it hurts.
Apply directly where it hurts. Apply directly where it hurts. Apply
Activon arthritis.
Oh, that you gave us one of?
Available at Walgreens.
So relatable.
Okay. What the hell was that? You gotta credit it's genius marketing. It's a product designed to cure a headache, so what better way to prove it than to give you a headache?
Oh god, it's like, God, it's just like bloody Syndrome's plan from The Incredibles, launching a giant robot on the city just so he could save the city from that robot, which of course backfired because it was a learning robot and it learned that he was defeating it with the remote on his wrist. Oh, Nellie's sleeping like a little kangaroo, Joey. Look at her. She's sleeping like a baby. There's little Louie boy. Ugh, man.
Head on. Apply directly.
Oh my
to
god,
the
enough!
forehead. Head on.
This commercial definitely needs Julianne Moore from Magnolia to offset it.
Head on. Apply directly to the forehead.
Shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up!
Directly to the forehead.
Yeah, it's just like Penn Jillette. You need to shut the fuck up! Oh, sorry, Nelly. Oh, God. Yeah, at least that's better than fuck your own face from that Tom Cruise movie. I'm sorry, Nelly. God, this is the second reaction video in a row that I've done where I've like accidentally scared one of the sister's pups by yelling the F word. I'm so sorry, Nelly. I'm so sorry. You forgive me. I love you, dog. No, I'm so sorry, Pop. I'm so sorry. Oh, sorry. I think she wants to be left alone because she's had a rough day at the park.
Now you must really shut the fuck up now, please.
Yeah, cause women sound really good with these creaky voices, you know.
Oh, God. Sounded like Professor Frink if he smoked a bunch of Marlboros. I don't even know what Marlboros are. I think they only have them in America. I don't know what brands of cigarettes we have in Australia. They mostly just have the pictures of what happens to you if you smoke too much, because you know, they... Because they got to do that just so they won't be held liable.
Forehead.
Yeah, this is awful.
Directly to the forehead.
You're awful. You're awful. You're awful. Next one.
Head on. Available at Walgreens.
Shut the fuck up!
Weather in the room seems to be getting cloudier. Looks like there's lightning on the horizon. Well, the weatherman said there was a chance of ominous music. Oh god, you know what that means. PSAs are coming!
Oh, I'm excited! Oh yeah, if you saw my previous reaction video, you know you know why I'm excited. Oh, on Doug's face here, it's just pure dread. Yeah, he's really gonna be dreading this one. What's that thing on the wall? Is that a Facebook comment? No, it's from Twitter. Wonder what it says.
Yeah, that's from the people who brought you. Ah! And oh god!
Oh my god, I remember seeing that British electric one on YouTube once. That was frightening. I also saw another one where, the boy gets electrocuted and the girl yells, "Jimmy!" hey! Yeah, that's a different one, but God, it's horrifying.
Get even more overseas PSAs. Okay, let's get these over with. What are we starting on?
Yeah, I'll do it when I get back.
This one's from New Zealand. Okay, I know them for Lord of the Rings and nothing else. Let's see if they...
Yeah, he says that even though he's referenced Russell Crowe in his terrible singing before. I am Jabber! Yeah, but to be fair, I think... Actually, does Russell Crowe like live in Australia or something? Oh. Anyway, let's see. Russell Crowe. He was born in New Zealand, spent 10 years of his childhood in Australia, and moved there permanently at age 21. Ah, okay, so imagine most people, especially Americans, probably think Russell Crowe's Australian. I mean, I guess technically he is, but come on, they even said on South Park that Crowe is from New Zealand originally, but yeah. Of course, here in Australia and New Zealand are known for their funny accents. Like you notice in the PSA, the girl said, "Get in the car." Yeah, as opposed to "get in the car." And a pair of sheep. Yeah, the most often quoted one here in Australia is fish and chips. Yeah, because they say the I is an sound, schwa, as it's called in linguistics. It's basically the equivalent of like a boot for Canadians, like the one that people quote the most often.
God.
You know that guy in Kirk's class?
What, Darren?
Nah, his mate, the one with the funny haircut.
Him, he's such a geek.
Oh my god, that makes it funny, especially for like the name Darren, which they said in the video they pronounce as Darren because they pronounce their A's as E's, which ironically makes them sound more American when, you know, if it's before an R sound, because yeah, for whatever reason Americans just can't pronounce a short vowel before an R sound. It has to be a long vowel. So for example, they say Mary instead of marry, or horrible instead of horrible. Yeah, for whatever reason they still pronounce sorry as, you know, sorry. Hey, I'm sorry, I did that, and they say it rhymes with starry, and yet they always make fun of Canadians for pronouncing it the way you would think Americans pronounce it, like sorry. Oh yeah, you're gonna be sorry when we put you in the hospital for free, eh? And yet Canadians call the letter Z, Z instead of Z like Americans do. Like Americans call it Z, but Canadians call it Z like we do. That always fricks with my mind, because I'm listening to what I think is an American accent, but they use a British Australian term. It sounds weird.
Oh Christ, just crash already!
Yeah.
Oh, they're allowing us to know them before our hearts are ripped out. Or theirs, we'll have to see.
So cool. These are the weed, mate.
Did he say weed? Is that legal in New Zealand?
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, because I know New Zealand, I think they're a bit more liberal than Australia, because they were the first country that gave women the right to vote, fun fact, in 1897, before Australia even became a country in 1901. And then we followed close behind, allowing women to vote in 1902, the year after it became a country. But let me see, is New Zealand more liberal than Australia? Okay, New Zealand has a Labour-led coalition and Australia has a liberal nationalist government, but also has a strong political Labour movement, which I imagine to a lot of American ears, or really anywhere outside of these two countries, that would sound like Australia's more left-leaning, but the thing about Australian politics is that it's so much more left-leaning compared to the US that our right-wing party is called the Liberal Party. Yeah, the Liberal Party is the right-wing party. Let that sink in. Like, that always blew my mind when I first found that out, because I assumed Labour was right-wing and Liberal was left-wing, because Liberal is normally left-wing and Conservative is right-wing, but nope, it turns out, I guess Labour is like the complete opposite of Conservative. They're like a mild form of communism, communism, if you will. I don't know why I stuttered just then. I don't normally stutter. Yeah, I sometimes do, but I'm not what you would call a stutterer, unless stuttering is a crime. Yeah, apparently in the old days you could get fired from your job, like if you're a teacher, for example, just for having a speech impediment. Like, that is insane. And nowadays we have teachers who have Down syndrome. Isn't that cool? I guess it's not so cool if it gets in the way of them teaching, but I'm guessing they'd be qualified to teach if they have the position. But yeah, New Zealand is currently Labour-led, which makes them more left-leaning. And yeah, I made a similar mistake when I was younger. I used to think, like in like audio terminology, I used to think mono and surround were the same thing, just because in both the contexts in which I heard them, they were being used in opposition to stereo. Like, basically in the game Crash Bandicoot I played as a kid, it had the option to listen to it in stereo or mono. Because I guess a lot of people still had mono TVs back then with just one speaker, but stereo TVs were coming into fashion. But then later in Animal Crossing Wild World for the DS, it had the option to be in stereo or surround, because I guess mono was a thing of the past, and surround is like, it's like quadraphonic or sextaphonic or whatever, but I didn't know what any of those terms meant at the time, so I thought mono and surround were the same thing just because they both meant not stereo. Yeah, it's like saying black and white are the same thing just because they're both not grey or not any colour. Although, I always find it funny because being a vinyl enthusiast, just to know that the term coloured means not black, because it's like with people, it's the opposite. It means, or nowadays we're supposed to say of colour for people, and it means not white. Moving on.
Here we go. Okay. Thought it'd be worse.
Jesus Cristo! Jesus Cristo, indeed. But apparently the final S in Jesus is supposed to be silent, like Jesus Cristo! Yeah. Or maybe it says just in certain accents of Spanish, because I know in Nicaragua they drop the S's at the ends of words for whatever reason, and yeah, I even joked about it in the comments of this video I did where I did Luz No Saver, citing the lyrics to Octopus's Garden on Uberduck, and I joked that, oh, this version of Luz is Nicaraguan because she pronounced octopuses as octopusa for whatever reason. I think because when I copy-pasted the lyrics, the version of the lyrics left out the S after the apostrophe, so it was just octopus apostrophe. Even though octopus isn't plural, so that's not how you write it. Like, even in the title of the song, it's octopus apostrophe S. Like, get it right, people. So that's how Luz ended up pronouncing it, even though she's Dominican, and I don't think that's how they say it in the Dominican Republic, or the DR for short. Yeah, so I said, oh, okay, this version of Luz is Nicaraguan. So, for example, they say do instead of dos. So I was wondering, how would they distinguish between la and las, which are both the feminine forms of el, meaning the, except one is singular and one is plural, because at least it's easy to distinguish el from los, because in Nicaragua they'd be pronounced as el and lo, respectively, but I always wondered, how do they distinguish la from las, because they both be pronounced la in Nicaragua, but someone on Quora said that apparently la is, like, without the S is like sort of a slightly reduced vowel, la, or whereas las is an open la. I guess it's kind of similar to Portuguese in that sense, because Portuguese has a lot of like reduced vowels, almost schwa-like, like they, when they're unstressed, much like in English. Now, why am I even talking about this? This is a PSA from New Zealand. I know it speaks Spanish there. New Zealand actually has 3 official languages. English, because it was settled by the British. Maori, which is the native language of the... Well, apparently it's pronounced Maori. But those are the native people, which I'm guessing Doug Walker's never heard of, because he said that he only knows about New Zealand for Lord of the Rings. Oh, it's a shame that he doesn't know much about cultures of the world. Bloody neurotypicals, am I right? Though people on the Kiwi farms think he's autistic, so could go either way with him. And the 3rd official language of New Zealand is New Zealand Sign Language, or NZL, I think it's called. And I'm assuming it's derived from British Sign Language, and which Auslan is also derived from, like Australian Sign Language. And for whatever reason, NZL is the only sign language that's an official language in a country. I guess because most people aren't deaf, but Honestly, I think most people should learn sign language. Like what if you're at a club or something and the music is really loud? And like, what about characters on, characters on TV? Like, what if you're at a pub and the TV has to be muted? Most of the time they get around that by turning on the closed captions, which were also invented specifically for deaf and hearing impaired people, but I used to have them turned on all the time as a kid because I just found them so fascinating, because I've been born in the mid-90s and growing up in the late 90s and early 2000s. We had a VCR, which, like, those can be closed captioned, but you need a special device for that, which we didn't have because we didn't see it as necessary. But when we switched to DVDs, found out you could watch them with subtitles, and I always put them on because I just thought it was a cool, fun feature to have. And of course, it also came in handy when other people in the room were talking. I just put on the subtitles so I wouldn't have to raise the volume. Also, why is it called volume when it only moves in one dimension? I guess because when the sound is louder, it feels like a greater volume of air in the room. Which, for those of you who forgot all your maths education from school, volume is like cubic measurements, like cubic centimeters, cubic feet, and stuff like that. In the metric system, it's represented with the superscript 3. Whoa! I actually showed blood in this one. I mean, I should know, because I did the censored edit, and I deliberately opted not to censor it this time, even though I did it for the Tickled commercial. Because, censoring it would get in the way of the message that it's trying to send. It's the same reason I didn't censor the gore in the Grave of the Fireflies Disney December review, because it's like a serious war movie, and it would just be downright disrespectful to censor the stuff in the blood and stuff in that movie, because it would basically be like censoring the gas chamber in Boy with the Striped Pajamas. You just don't do it. It's the premise of the movie. There's a reason most people only watch that movie once.
How long was that girl in the air? That was like a cartoon!
Yeah, speaking of ruining the mood. Also, I'm surprised Doug hasn't commented on the steering wheel being on the opposite side from his country. I mean, I'm used to it because I live in Australia and we also have the steering wheel on that side, as we'll see in the next PSA. PSA I'm so excited for! But, yeah, I bet Doug's probably used to seeing it in, British TV. And also, most Americans think the UK is the only country where they do that. He also saw it in a Japanese movie, Ponyo, because they also drive on the left in Japan. Yet for some reason, the family in Spirited Away still have a left-hand drive car. I guess because it's an Audi and they must have imported it directly from Germany, because they drive on the right there. Yet the Audis here in Australia have it right-hand drive, I guess because we have it refitted here. And yet the windscreen wiper and indicator are switched on the opposite sides, which is frustrating.
Lovely. Okay, well, we get the point. Oh, no, we gotta do a play-by-play. I mean, I think there were only 2 moves, fly and plummet. We can put together what happens in between.
Yeah. There's show, don't tell, and then there's show until it...
Okay.
Wait, the lady just said not again. So is this a regular occurrence for her? That's pretty messed up. Then again, maybe that's why they made this PSA, because apparently it's a regular occurrence in New Zealand. God damn.
Okay, point well made. Do commercials have a part 2 now? Why does everybody think they're the Dune movies? Okay, we good? We over? Gah! Oh, okay, that was the next ad. But honestly, would it shock you if there was a part 3?
Also, I just noticed they call it a safety belt in New Zealand. Here in Australia, we call it the seat belt, which is also the American term. I guess because we watch a lot of American TV and we pick up a lot of American terms. Like I've noticed that everyone in Australia stopped saying bum and started saying butt to refer to the buttocks, and That really annoys me because it just sounds so cringe when they say it. Yeah, I know. The guy who's complaining about people using the American term butt is using the word cringe, which no one says here in Australia. It's like, it just seemed to happen overnight. Like, why? Like, I'd even noticed back when Cat Icarus was uploading videos with his stepkids, I think he's privated them now because he's concerned about, like, the kids' safety or whatever, but I noticed his littlest one, Amy, said something like, oh, they get hit on the butt, even though they're from England, so apparently it's infected England now.
I mean, man, can you imagine a kid going back to his Saturday morning cartoons after that?
I like the lady's hair. It reminds me of someone I saw before in a movie or TV show once, I swear. Who was it that had blonde frizzy hair tied in a ponytail? Whatever.
And now, back to the Care Bears.
Okay, that was fucked up. Congratulations, New Zealand, you're the new Canada, the new Britain, the new Northern Ireland. Yeah, that's right, it's in Northern Ireland instead of Ireland this time, I got it right. I mean, geez, what's the big difference between the two anyway?
Yeah, he messed up there. Meanwhile, I knew this since I was a little kid because of that Geography CD-ROM game. Yeah, I imagine those weren't a thing back in the 80s, educational games. I think computer games came on like floppy disk drives and they're all in 8-bit, so I imagine educational games would have been especially cringe back in the day. So, like, if the kids even played them, which is why I often hear like people from Doug's generation and like James Rolfe saying, oh, I don't like educational games, they remind me of school. But then again, Cat Icarus also has that complaint, and he's the same age as my older sister, who's only 2 years older than me. So, Lord only knows. I guess it must just be a neurotypical thing. Then again, maybe not, because Leia of Tomb Ruins is on the spectrum, and all of her special interests that she listed in her video about special interests were mostly just like TV shows, like Miraculous Ladybug and Infinity Train and them. Also, I swear Tulip is on the spectrum. Tulip from the redhead girl from Infinity Train. I don't know why we say it with a ch sound here. Like YouTube, Tuna, and of course Nelly has a Jew clause. Yeah, for whatever reason, we still say Dubai instead of Dubai. I guess because it's an Arab term. Who knows? And yeah, Doug really messed up with the geography there. There is a huge difference between Northern Ireland. Basically, from what I've heard, there were basically a bunch of like people who immigrated from Scotland living in that area of Ireland, which would explain why Liam Neeson sounds Scottish, because he's from that area of Ireland. And basically they wanted to remain with the United Kingdom instead of being part of Ireland. And so they just, when Ireland became a republic, so they remained part of the UK, which, does that technically mean Northern Ireland is part of Britain? Or does Britain just refer to the big island that consists of England, Scotland and Wales? I bet Doug's never heard of the country of Wales, let alone New South Wales, which is a state of Australia, which little Louis boy is originally from, and it's the state that Sydney's the capital of, but Cardiff is the capital of normal Wales. You know, I really think Doug should watch Geography Now sometime. He could learn a lot from that. I'm not saying he has to watch every episode, you know, maybe just the ones he's interested in. He could do vlogs on them, or vlogs, whatever, just like he did with some of the other shows he's been watching, like Avatar, Legend of Korra, Adventure Time, Steven Universe, and so on. Yeah, you can start with Afghanistan, because that's the first episode of that series, because Paul Barbato, or Barbs as he's known, goes through the countries alphabetically. He does make a few exceptions here and there, like he did North Macedonia back when it was just called Macedonia. He put it under F for former Yugoslav Republic because he didn't want to spark controversy. And he did Eswatini after the Malaysia episode because it was called Swaziland up to that point. But yeah. I really feel like Doug could get a kick out of that, maybe. Making education fun for him, or maybe he'll find it boring and a waste of time, who knows. Moving on.
Okay, that was a big difference, but you get the point. You are the new messed up kid, New Zealand!
Oh my god, here we go, this is it. The big one that I've been waiting for since last year. And also, I was the one who actually requested him to do it on Facebook, and I think he liked my comments, so, oh my god. I actually contributed to a Nostalgia Critic video. This is so exciting. And I also requested him to do the Buzz on Maggie for Disney December, but I doubt he'll get to it this year. Maybe next year. I don't think it's on Disney Plus, but because Disney's basically abandoned that property, it's at least functionally in the public domain. But it's free for viewing on YouTube, so you can view it through there. Anyway, let's get on with the feature presentation. 3, 2, 1. Good thing the pups aren't awake for this. They're gonna be...
Oh god, we got another one? Where's this one from? Australia?
Train schedules can change.
Oh my god, we've got butterflies. Oh man. It's taking me back to being a little kid. But, you know, I faced my fears, and I think aside from watching it over and over on YouTube, the big deciding factor for me for officially overcoming my fear of this PSA was when I actually visited the filming locations, or at least the ones that are within walking distance of my home. Well, I say walking distance, but I go for like 16k walks. But basically, this one with the Mum and Her Kids was filmed in Birkenhead, not to be confused with Birkenstocks, which are a brand of shoe that are popular in Melbourne. Yeah, because this is a South Australian PSA, and this was filmed in Adelaide, or again, at least the ones in the suburbs were. The rural ones were filmed much further out, and I couldn't possibly walk there. But yeah, this one was in Birkenhead, which is right between Semaphore Beach and Port Adelaide. And the other one with the lady on the bike was filmed, I can't remember the name of the suburb, but it was much further down south, and I actually bumped into my ex-girlfriend's mum and dad while walking there, and I told them I was going to see a filming location for a PSA I saw as a kid. I bet they didn't know what the hell I was on about, because... Anyway, let's move on.
Oh, and trains are involved. That's gonna end well.
Never enter a crossing unless you are absolutely sure your exit is clear.
God. God, 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 God!
Don't play with trains.
Man, that's horrible. And I think Doug pretty accurately captured my reaction to it as a kid. Like, I was terrified, and did you see the look on the little girl's face? That was just, oh my god, it's like, man, I cannot imagine dying at such a young age, like not being able to experience adulthood, or even the teenage years. Like, I remember thinking this as well when I was watching Titanic, and like, that scene with the mum and her kids in the room as it's filling up. And also the Holocaust movie I mentioned earlier, and the real life tragedy of the... And yes, I'm aware that those two tragedies happened in real life as well, but that kid who got the death sentence when he was like 14, like, and it later turned out he was framed, like, he was deliberately sentenced for a crime he didn't commit. Wow, like obviously biologically and physically you're never too young to die, but why, man? Like, oh my god. Like, even when people die as like adults and they don't live to be a right full age, it's just tragic, man. Like, when I heard that Robin Williams was only 63 when he died, like he'd be freaking 70 if he was alive today. Like, he could be making jokes about Trump and COVID, but no, he just had to get that disease, and he had to peacefully go out so he wouldn't be a burden to his family. Bloody Rick Mail and Mary Kay Bergman and Cameron Boyce. I believe Cameron Boyce, he was younger than me when he died. That's... Like, no one should have to die too young, and thank freaking God that this is just a play. This is just staged. It's just a little short film to be shown on TV as a cautionary tale, because I wonder where the actors are now. Like, Like, I wonder what it's like for them, people to say, oh, I died on TV. Like, do you think that's something they brag about? Like how Billy Connolly brags about being the only person who's died in a Muppet movie, on screen at least. It's a good thing he didn't die on set, huh? And likewise, special precautions were made with this ad to ensure that the actors wouldn't be killed by the train. Like, did you notice the use of green screen or blue screen there, which you notice because it looks fake as hell, but if anything, that just adds to the creep factor, because it sort of adds this uncanny valley layer to it, and especially when you're a kid watching this, as I was. And of course, and you can tell that shot of the little girl crying was fake, because, or at least the reflection of the train was. Like, that was clearly added in post, because if it was real, you could see the shot of the camera in it, which you didn't. That's why, like, in movie scenes, like, when they're shooting someone in front of a mirror, it's always on an angle, so you don't get the camera in the shot. But it's good that they went the extra mile here and added it in with special effects to really get that, to add that layer of dread there. But like, how did they film the shot of the train though? Like, did they pull the camera out of the way in time so it didn't get hit by the train? And the acting is really good in this as well. Like you really believe that the mum and the kids are on that tracks, just accepting their fate and really dreading that train coming. Like, ugh. But like, how did they get them, especially the kid, to really act that out? Like, they'd have had to have shown her a video of her worst fear, or like an actual video of a train coming, in order to get that reaction out of her, because kids normally can't act that well. Like, they're not normally as bad as the actors on the Christmas tree, because I think they hired toddlers for that, but they're not normally this good. Like, because you can't expect to hire someone who's going to be the next Elijah Wood or Jacob Tremblay or anything like that, or Soleil Moon Frye or whatever. Even Macaulay Culkin wasn't the next Macaulay Culkin as soon as he hit it big, as Doug pointed out in his review of Home Alone 2. Ugh. What about how the car just like disappears into nothing as soon as the train hits? It's like, it's all these really fake special effects, but it doesn't have to look real, but it just has to feel real, and it felt real when I saw this as a kid, and it did the job a little too well, because from that point on I was scared to go on the train tracks, and my sister used to tease me about it all the time. And even when I started to get over it, I used to drag over and over the tracks with my sister because I was dreading her teasing me about it. It's like, I did this to myself by watching those ads. Yeah, you can tell I just had a lot to say about this one, because this is an ad from my childhood, whereas Doug normally shows ads from his home country, which I didn't grow up with. And I'd really like to see him do some more ads from Australia sometime. And not the one that he shows next, because I'll get to that one when I get to it. Another glaring geography mistake, but yeah, I'd like to see him do that funny ad with the Game Boy Color. Because I've uploaded some ads from some TV broadcastings of some movies that we got but I edited out the movies, don't worry. Moving on.
Game over, man! The world has made me afraid of everything! I take it this was a campaign, there were a lot of these? Sweet maple Jesus, of course there is! Don't you want people to go outside? I mean, are Australia's regular ads this messed up?
Okay, to be honest, I never really cared about those two guys in the Jeep. And, yeah, call me a sexist, misandrous prick if you want, but, like, say if it was two dumb bimbos driving their fabulous girl car onto the tracks, I probably wouldn't care about them, because it's like, oh, it's just a couple of bimbos, who cares about them? But if it was like a dad picking them up as kids from school, I'll be really traumatized by that, because it's like a dad and this young boy, because like recently, but back when we watched TV, there was this ad about speeding, and there was a dad, basically it like sort of paused time so the dad could get out and tell the other man to like, please, slow down, I've got a boy in my car. But by that point it was too late, so he ended up crashing and killing them. And I felt really sorry for them. So that just proves that it's not because these two blokes are men that I don't feel sorry for them. It's just because they're these two bumbling idiots, these two bogan hicks that are just messing around in the car like, oh yeah, did you see that? He's got, yeah, he goes about it with the, I think they're talking about sports or whatever, and I don't know, they just seem like male stereotypes, I guess. But with that said, I would say the ads themselves are kind of sexist in portraying the men as dumb idiots. Like, even the one with the young boy, if you watch the full ad, you'll notice that it's just him and his friend, like, just tossing a football at each other. Which, here in Australia, we use the term soccer to refer to what Americans call soccer and the Brits call football, because we have our own version of football called Aussie Rules football. And that's the kind of football that these two boys were chucking to each other on the train tracks, which led to one of them getting hit, because he was going to get the ball after he dropped it. Whereas like when the women get hit, it's just basically just a simple mistake that ends up costing them their lives. It's not due to any, well, I guess it is due to their idiocy, but I think it's implied they don't normally make those kinds of mistakes. Well, obviously, because it ends up killing them, but they're sort of implied to just be normal people, because the lady on the bike, yeah, if you watch the ad in full, like, she like waits for the first train, but then the announcer says, beware of the second train. And then, right on cue, the second train hits her. If she just waited for that second train, ugh! And likewise, the mum and the kids, they make the boy out to be really obnoxious, like, what's the hold up, mum? Yeah, it's just like back in the old days when the kids used to ask, are we there yet? And all that stuff. But like, they make you sympathize with the girl, because she just did a couple of paintings at school. She's got that sweet little girl voice, like, I did a painting at school, mum. And, it's like what Doug said with the New Zealand ad. It's like, they make you feel sorry for them before they get killed. And when the train comes, like, you don't even see the boy. It just focuses on the mum and the girl, and you just see a little bit of the boy's hair, I think, before it hits him. Like, yeah, good riddance to him being a rude little shit. Like, that's pretty sexist, don't you think? And you wonder why some people think we live in a matriarchal society, which we kind of do to an extent, and this is proof of that, but there are some ways in which men hold the power, and again, these are themes I'm going to be covering in my comic. I'm trying to say sexism against both sexes is bad, because it's sort of going to exaggerate the matriarchal society that we live in Australia by, like, at school, all the boys are treated like crap, and our protagonist, who's a girl, actually defends the boys from these sexist attitudes, because, you know, she has a younger brother who she gets on well with. Most of the time, sometimes, but you know, they love each other, they do. Maybe they don't get on as well as, say, Katie and Aaron, but definitely more so than most siblings in cartoons. And she just sees boys as normal human beings. One of her friends at school is a boy, and she gets on well with a lot of the boys at school, more so than the girls, because the boys think she's cool, but the girls think she's just a weird, she's just a nerd. But, you know, I'm not trying to frame it as, you know, she doesn't care about sexism against women, you know, she doesn't have internalized misogyny. Her dad is a sexist prick as well against women. He's always trying to discourage her from living her dream as a musician or whatever. And I say it like it's not my creation, but she meets up with this boy who just moved in from America, and there's a little bit of a sexist douchey prick towards him at first, sort of trying to hit on her using pickup lines, even though he's just a young lad. He's just sort of copying his older brother, because sort of trying to make out America to be a little bit more patriarchal than it is in real life. Sort of like how it was in the 50s and 70s, when women were basically the property of men. Like, why couldn't women get credit cards? Yeah, and sort of trying to, basically criticize these attitudes towards both men and women, saying sexism is wrong no matter who it's aimed towards. Anyway, let's just move on. Yeah, you'll be able to see it when the first issue comes out, but this ad that he's showing here of like Froobs or whatever, he says it's an Australian ad, but we'll clearly see in just a moment that this is a UK ad, because like I literally never heard about Froobs until I saw the video, but from what I've seen, it's basically like frozen yogurt, like similar to Go-Gurt that we have in Australia. And I think it's from the same brand. I think it originated in America, but they changed the name to Froobs when they exported it to the UK. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be a portmanteau of like frozen and jubes. Jubes being like fruit flavored lollies. Lollies is what we call candy here in Australia. In the UK, they call them sweets, but like jubes are specifically like ones that taste like fruit, I guess. Like more authentic flavoring. I don't know, but I guess Froobs is like frozen jubes. Whatever. Even though, wait, is it yogurt though? But whatever. And also, this looks like a British street here. And I noticed that in the comments on Doug's video and on the other reactions to it, there are lots of like people from England saying, oh, we have those ads in England as well. Like, oh, no, this is clearly an English ad because I can tell that that's an English accent. And yeah, this looks like an English street. We don't have those weird brick walls here in Australia in a lot of streets. Let's just see here. Yeah, and that looks like a British school uniform, and the accent sounds sort of Cockney, I guess. Like you're like Pinky from Pinky and the Brain, if his balls dropped. Like, I think so, Brain, but if they called them sad meals, then no one would buy them. Yeah, like if his balls dropped. Point is, it's not from Australia. So I guess Britain's the new Australia, which is New Zealand.
Let me guess, this was also a popular campaign. Oh, yup.
See, there's even British flags on the sandcastle, which is weird. I thought they didn't have sandy beaches in England. Maybe this is supposed to be Northern England? And why is it so sunny? Maybe it's just that one day in the year when they get a sunny day. Who knows? Whereas here in Australia, it's the opposite. We have sunny days in winter. People actually get sunburnt during the blistering July winters in the mountains where it snows in July. And also, in Australian schools, it's not uncommon to see, it's pretty common to see world maps where Australia is in the centre, so it's Pacific-centred, much like the maps you see in Asian countries, except all the country names are written in English. Granted, you do also see maps that are Europe-centred, but I think the Pacific-centred ones are maybe a little bit more common, or maybe as common.
Okay, now you got the trophy. You're the new New Zealand. Anything?
And those ads are from the UK, which means the UK is the new Australia, which is the new New Zealand, which is the new Northern Ireland, which is the new UK, which is the new Canada. Which makes sense, because New Zealand is basically Australia's Canada, or Australia's Ireland, depending how you look at it.
Don't you want to scare me with? One back in America. Oh, I can't wait.
So America's the new Australia, even though they've been around longer than the country of Australia.
Do you want to trade?
It looks like a muppet, but made of balloons.
That's a brick.
Yeah, thanks for putting that image in my head, Doug. Also, I just noticed that brick is made of styrofoam that's been painted. Come on, can we see Tamara Pooh's styrofoam brick?
Okay, that is the most creatively disturbing thing I've seen in a while. Good job. What's it a PSA for?
Respect the pouch! Respect it!
Wait, this was an ad for Capri Sun?
Oh, I feel like having Capri Sun, and I don't even think we have it in Australia. Maybe they sell it at Blackbees, who knows. They also sell cereal there, despite it being a sweet shop or lolly shop, so I guess a fruit drink would be... Man. Oh, it reminds me of those frozen... like those frozen ice block things that were like weirdly shaped that we used to have at the supermarkets, but they discontinued them, and I'm so mad about that! Sorry, Nelly. I've got to keep my voice down when I've got the pups in here, especially when they're sleeping.
And not just an ad, this was also a campaign. The idea was some kid somewhere disrespects a bag of Capri Sun and is punished in a fitting way. And not just a fitting way, a freaky as hell way.
Oh my god, it's just like in the Mikado. The more humane Mikado, saw how he has fitting punishments for all the different criminals. The advertising whack who wears the tales of countless cures. His teeth have been acted with, shall all be extracted by terrified amateurs. The musical singer attends a series of masses of fugues and ops. Yeah, you get the idea. Yeah, weird to think that Gilbert wasn't a big fan of musical either, but for the exact opposite reason that John Lennon wasn't, technically. I mean, they both thought it was cheesy crap, but Gilbert would have been like, oh, kids these days and their musical music. Yeah, he was a boomer before Jen Silent was even born. Whereas John Lennon, yeah, he called it granny shit music, so he basically would have viewed it the same way the kids these days would have viewed his music, ironically enough. Yeah, the reason John Lennon expressed his dislike of musical music was because Paul McCartney wrote songs in that sort of style, like When I'm 64 and Honey Pie, the good one, not that Honey Pie crap. And was Maxwell Silver Hammer what you would call a music hall number? It was sort of like a parody of it, like sort of putting like really disturbing lyrics to a fun, jaunty tune. And yeah, it's just the act to this ad. It is pretty cool, the creative scenarios they come up with. Like, also, I think this girl was littering, so this could technically double as a disturbing PSA for littering.
Each of these is like a scary stories ending. When I first saw them, I swore...
Oh my god, the boy with the turtle body looks pretty funny, although I would be disturbed if that happened in real life, especially to someone who I know and love. But it would be cathartic to see it happen to someone that I know and hate. They're just stuck in a turtle body their whole life.
Or it was an ad against drugs or bullying or, I don't know, something more warranting of such creepy imagery. But no, it was to sell a children's fruit drink you have in summer. And this is by far some of the most imaginative, unnerving surrealism I've seen on TV. Bitch! Okay.
I'm surprised the dogs didn't wake up from that. Also, oh, that river takes me back to last year. Even though this was during COVID, my mum and my younger sister and I went on holiday to the Northern Territory, or Territory, however the frick you say it. Yeah, we say Territory here in Australia for some reason. I normally say the Northern Territory, so I'm a pretentious fuckwit, that's why. But you could just bathe in the rivers because it was so hot there. But like, wasn't there, surely in those temperatures there'll be bacteria in the water, surely. God, sound like young Tantor from Tarzan.
What if there's bacteria?
It's funny how little he changed when he became a grown-up elephant.
I guess we come full circle. Not only is the most uncomfortable PSA in America, but it's not even a PSA. It's a goddamn kids ad. Good job, life. You really threw me for a loop. Now please, in God's name, no more. Now.
Respect the pouch. Respect it.
And that's it for this year's commercial special. Though there is one thing that still bothers me. Who was that monster hand creeping a cookie?
Yeah, gotta bring back that running gag, huh? Good grief, it's a running gag.
Enjoy, you cantankerous, cringe-peddling cockswallow!
ain't no punchline, man! I mean, come on, we couldn't think of something funnier?
Well, you know what goes well with cookies?
Wilkins coffee.
Speaking of the Muppets, yeah, the bloody Wilkins mascot is back. Yeah, he also appeared in the Muppet Christmas Carol review, which is fitting, seeing how the original novel had a character named Wilkins. He was Scrooge's colleague, I guess, when they were both apprenticed to Mr. Fezziwig. But, of course, his character is cut from most adaptations, including the Muppet version. Unless you count Doug's review thereof, but yeah. Even though it's a different Wilkins. Yeah, I just got a notification on YouTube, but it's just the Birdman doing Let's Plays. It sucks that he's gonna stop doing everything wrong with CinemaSins videos, because those are always good to look forward to. Even though he has such a snarky, condescending attitude, that's what we love about it. Like, no. The issue here is that Doug is being an asshole. So don't any of you fanboys come knocking to me, you idiots. I can't do his voice. And even if I could do it properly. Actually, I don't think he would mind, because he's an anti-SJW. I was going to say, because he's black, people would have a go at me for trying to imitate his voice, but Birdman would be cool with it, because he's an anti-SJW. Unless he says otherwise, because he did say he takes issue with some depictions of black people in media. Like from the old cartoons when they make black people look like clown frogs or whatever. Like in those old minstrel shows.
Ah, shit.
Head on. Apply directly to the forehead.
Personally, I would have gone with
Mom says he's a little souvenir.
because that one was from the mouth of babes. The older definition of babes, mind you.
You were rude the day you didn't overstock your wares with ram-encrusted hammock on them. It fell apart, so that this is why I need ram-encrusted hammock staffs, goddammit!
Who was that monster hand creeping everyone out?
I feel like having cookies right now, but I can't because I'm supposed to be low carb at the moment. Well, I should be low carb all the time, but I just know I'm going to snap again. I'm going to relapse. I just know I'm going to do it at some point. I just don't know when. I know it's not going to be today because I can't go and eat out because the pups are here. So even if I wanted to go out and have, for example, KFC, I couldn't.
Hey, Doug Walker here, doing a charity shout-out. If you hear, like, noise outside, they're doing something on the street. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna give you the charity shout-out once again because I just got back from a convention. I did decide I'm just always gonna do this charity whenever I go to...
Oh my god, I just realized it's got a Workin' Parasite t-shirt. It's a Simpsons reference. I think it was the episode with Gabbo, the dummy. And basically, the characters Itchy and Scratchy moved from the Krusty the Clown show onto the Gabbo show, so Krusty was left to work with Itchy and Scratchy's Soviet Union counterpart, Workin' Parasite, which is, it's basically just them fidgeting around and gibbering while depressing music plays. It's supposed to be an homage to, like, send up to the old Soviet Union cartoons, which is kind of weird to watch, I guess. Yeah, I was about to say it was the episode where that homeless guy sues the Itchy and Scratchy creator because he actually created Itchy, but that wasn't Workin' Parasite. That was it's the "Oh Man to Be" classic song, which is a parody of Schoolhouse Rock.
The conventions, because whenever someone takes a picture of us, we take that money and we put it to the charity of the week. And I think I'm just always going to make it the same charity because this is a really good charity. It's the Center for Victims of Torture. And if you hear that word, I don't know, in my mind there's literally nothing worse. It is the word everybody goes to describe the worst of the worst. What is that? Oh, it's torture.
Yeah, I know. Like at least as an adult now, I just cringe when I hear that word. But like, when I was a kid, I didn't know torture referred to anything serious. I thought it was just, I don't know, because it was usually just I don't know, it's different when you see it in cartoons, for example. Like, it's just, I thought it was just people, like, just annoying other people to get information out of them. Oh, what a naive little boy I was. And yeah, I was scared of what every kid obsesses, like every autistic kid for that matter. Like, imagine an autistic young boy who's scared of trains. Like that never happens, but it happened with me. And yeah, let's see what Doug says about this, what is it, Center for Victims of Torture? Yeah, I'm not going to give money to them. Not because I don't believe in this cause, but because when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I used to give money to just about every single goddamn charity that came my way. I was a charity spendaholic. I was like the anti-Ebenezer Scrooge, or I was like Scrooge after he has his change of heart. God, could you imagine if Scrooge was spending too much money and he had to get visited by some other 3 ghosts to learn to get his spending habits back into control, but like still learn to share the wealth like in moderation. Yeah, it's funny because like Doug Walker sarcastically said, "Oh, what's next? A Christmas Carol 2?" when he reviewed A Christmas Story 2. But honestly, that would be an interesting premise for a sequel to A Christmas Carol, where he learns to spend more wisely, which he already learned to do a bit too well. But you know, it would be like that Family Guy episode where Peter learns what would happen if he drank too much, so he decides to remain sober for the rest of his life, but then he sees what happened if he was sober all the time, and he's just a bloody nerd geek, like hang out with other posh geeks, and he doesn't want to be that kind of person.
It's awful. There's literally nothing worse. So to me, this is like one of the best charities you can do. And I think that's the reason I'm having it every single time I go to a convention, because I just can't imagine anything worse. So we've done this one a couple times. It's a really, really good organization. They try to not only stop torture wherever it's done, but they try to help those that have been affected by it and the families of it. It's just a really, really good organization that definitely deserves your attention and your donations if possible. If not,
but yeah, like I think as Doug's just about to say here, if you're not able to give to this organization, please spread the word so others who are able to can, or are inclined to, or their folks let them or whatever. Yeah, feel free to do. Or it's not really for free because you're spending money. Well, I guess it is free for the people spreading the word. Whatever. Moving on.
Please spread the word about it, because, again, there's literally nothing worse that at least I can think of. So please.
Yeah, that is a nice chair Doug's got there. It looks comfy, and I like the blue velvet. It's like the opposite of torture. It's like the best thing imaginable, I would imagine. Actually, this pillow's nice and soft as well. I've got similarly comfy pillows in my room. Actually, my pillows are better, but don't tell my sister I said that. But I got to be in her room right now because I'm looking after the pups, and they can't come into my room because my cats hang out in there. Like earlier, Louis went and saw my cat Ollie. Thankfully, they didn't get too close, so he didn't get scratched. But Ollie was like doing that thing where he arches his back and hisses. And yeah, so now I know that Ollie doesn't like them. As for Cleo, well, she puts up with our dog Toby's, but I'm not sure if she'd put up with these two, even though she's about their size. But if Ollie doesn't like them, I say it's not worth it.
Please definitely spread the word about the good that these people are doing, and I'll see you next time. Take care.
And there you have it. That's Doug Walker's I don't know how many of these he's done so far, but this is the one he did for 2021. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I think most of the ads were a lot less weird than the ones from last year, but of course that's not really saying much. It's bloody Capri Sun ads and the train PSA that really scared the dickens out of me as a kid. Sorry, I just got back from home yesterday and I was reading the book A Christmas Carol on the way home during the car ride. And like I said, I was picturing Jim Carrey's Scrooge in my mind. It decreased the surplus population. Oh God, he sounds like that annoying bitch from Daria, like I said earlier. Stacy. Oh, Nellie's woken up. Oh, I think she's gonna go back to sleep because she just try not to get the photo of my sister and her my younger sister and her boyfriend in. I think I'm gonna have to censor that when I get around to editing this. Is Louis still in there? Yes, he is. So yeah, really enjoyed that, and probably my favourite one that I hadn't seen prior to this was the Disney cruise one. The little, was that a girl or a boy? I honestly couldn't tell. I'm pretty sure it's a boy, but it could be a girl. It's hard to tell at that age. It was just so shocking. Like, if it was banned, as the rumour goes, it really wouldn't surprise me. I certainly don't think they could air it today, with parents getting all up in arms and so even childless or child-free people getting offended on other people's behalf, as Doug pointed out in with the Flintstones ad, or Doug himself was doing, because he's not even Asian. Like, most Asian people, from what I've heard, don't even care about that kind of stuff. I guess it depends on the person, on the individual and their personal tastes. But yeah, what are your thoughts on these ads? Let me know in the comments, and follow Louis and Nelly on Instagram, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and support me on Patreon, and buy my stuff from the other online stores of mine. And until next reaction video, yeah, I don't think I'm going to react to another Nostalgia Critic video. I'm considering maybe reacting to Viced Rhino, because he does some really good stuff debunking creationists, and I really would like to give my perspective on the matter, as someone who grew up an atheist, but like still believed in stupid shit like heaven and Santa Claus, and yeah, it's take care until next time. This is ARC the Cartoon Master, and I'm signing off.